in misery.
Question number 8, Grant Robertson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Health. What progress has been made in achieving first specialist assessment for patients referred from general practitioners in the last 2 years?
The Honourable Tony Ryall.
Great progress, Mr Speaker. Advice from the Ministry of Health that is over the past 2 calendar years, over 60,000 extra patients have received a first specialist assessment. More people are being seen sooner and significantly fewer people are waiting longer than 6 months to see a specialist.
Grant Robertson.
Question. Is the Auditor-General wrong then when she says that in the last 2 years up to 15% of people are not being seen within the 6-month deadline for first specialist assessment?
The Honourable Tony Ryall.
Mr Speaker, the number of people waiting over 6 months for first specialist assessments is lower than when that party left office.
Grant Robertson.
Does he stand by his statement in this House in February that his government will not fix the problems of waiting times by sending people a letter saying they have been culled from the waiting list, in light of this letter, dated the 12th of June 2011, to 3-year-old Joshua Stevens from Palmerston North, telling him that he had been cut from the list of those waiting for a specialist assessment?
The Honourable Tony Ryall.
Mr Speaker, without having the full details of that letter, I can't comment. But what I've got to say is that pales in significance to the 30,000 people who were culled off waiting lists under that party opposite.
Michael Woodhouse.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Supplementary to the Minister of Health. What has been the history in the delivery of first specialist assessments over the last decade, and why are they important to patients?
The Honourable Tony Ryall.
Mr Speaker, first specialist assessments are often the gateway to improve surgery or getting surgery in the public health service. Under the previous government, the number of people getting to see a hospital specialist went backwards by not keeping up with population growth. And there's been a remarkable increase under this government. Over the last 2 calendar years, 60,000 extra patients have seen a hospital specialist. More people are being assessed for important issues like respiratory pain, heart trouble and abdominal troubles.
Very good.
Grant Robertson.
Does he stand by his statement in this House that his government will not fix the problems of waiting times by sending people a letter saying that they have been culled from the waiting list, in light of this letter, dated the 4th of July, to a Wellingtonian cutting him from the waiting list to see an ear, nose and throat specialist?
The Honourable Tony
Mr
Ryall.
Speaker, my experience of the opposition is you actually have to check the facts of the letters that they table, and it's always interesting. But none of that compares to the 30,000 people who were culled off waiting lists. Under this government, 60,000 extra people are getting to see a hospital specialist. 400 extra New Zealanders a week are getting operations.
Point of order, Grant Robertson.
Mr Speaker,
Point of order has been called.
I did ask if the Minister stood by the statement. I guess you could interpret he was saying yes, but I couldn't really get that from the answer, and then it was sort of going on into nothing, really. So if he could answer the question, that would be helpful.
I order the Honourable Shane Jones can see further than that. It is difficult when a minister starts out by saying the problem with another party is something, or however the minister started his reply. It's not a very helpful way to start an answer. He could have indicated whether he does stand by a statement or not. Because of the nature of the question, clearly it's very difficult for the minister to answer questions relating to specific cases. I don't think I should really, but what I'd do though is ask the minister, please don't commence an answer by saying that the question has got a problem, unless the question is highly provocative, and that one was not unduly provocative. Grant Robertson, supplementary question.
Does he stand by his statement in this House that his government will not fix the problems of waiting times by sending people a letter saying they have been culled from the waiting list, in the light of the case of a woman from Wellington who had already been given an appointment time for a gastroenterologist, only to receive a letter last week telling her that she'd been cut from the waiting list?
How many more?
Mr Speaker, of course we stand by that statement, because this government is making sure that more people are getting patients. But what I'd say is what we've learnt from that party opposite, until you check the full details of what they table, it never necessarily should be relied upon.
Point of order, Grant Robertson.
Speaker, I seek leave of the House to table a letter from Mid Central Health dated the 12th of June 2011 to Joshua Stevens and telling him that he has been cut from the waiting list.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection. No, Grant Robertson.
Mr. Speaker, I seek leave of the House. Of course I have. Of course I have.
Order. Point of order. Order. Point of order is called. Grant Robertson.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. I seek leave of the House to table a letter from the Capital Coast District Health Board dated the 4th of July 2011 culling a patient from the waiting list for an ear, nose and throat specialist.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection. Supplementary question, the Honourable Anne Atkins.
Is he aware that people waiting for first special assessments were not counted until Labour became the government because the National Party refused to count them in the 1990s?
The Honourable Tony Ryall.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not in a position to confirm that, but what I can confirm is under ministerial instruction, 30,000 people were culled off hospital waiting lists, many of whom had been promised an operation.
Question number 9, Dr. Paul Hutchison. Order, Dr. Paul Hutchison.